into it.
Having a great time.
And this is
Can you all hear her? Can't hear her? Hmm. I'm trying to figure it out, y'all. Still nothing? God, this is annoying. I'm trying to figure it out.
people to their
is.
Discord, which you can access via !victory. And on top of that, you can sign up to volunteer in your local, state, and national races, wherever you live in the United States, by going to transilculture.com. And you'll be able to access that by typing !map in chat. You simply fill out the form, you get your own little pin on the map, and you can see on that map where exactly everyone is. And it is going to be a really, really great time. So I highly recommend you all check that out. And with that being said, I'd love to introduce all the fine folk who are on stream today. So if you could introduce yourself, your name, where people can find you, kind of what your deal is, and pronouns, like that'd be great, and we can then we can get the show on the road. Whoever wants to start.
Oh, hi. I'm Amy, or Don't Ooh My Oo is my Twitch handle and probably a handle on a few other platforms that I don't really use. But I am a variety streamer. I've done a couple just chatting shows, but mostly video games. And I'm tiny. I don't stream that often anymore, but I'm trying to get back into it, and I'm just happy to be here.
Awesome. Welcome.
Oh, and she, her pronouns.
Excellent. Let's just kind of go in a circle. So Luxander.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Luxander. I'm non-binary. I've been out for like 13 or 14 years or something like that, and I've been more and more politically interested in that time, getting more and more involved with various political groups, including this one. I'm excited to lend my voice here to our cause of like trying to band together and get more volunteers together and all that. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. My pronouns are they, them usually, or it if you're feeling spicy. That's all.
Excellent.
My next?
You are.
Hi, I'm Maddie Cakes, and I'm starting to stream again. A lot of politics, some gaming, but in real life,
Hello,
I'm
Max.
a progressive organizer, activist, and I help found a digital agency that works with a number of congressional, senatorial, and statewide campaigns.
The thumbnail didn't lie.
If you're wondering why I haven't been streaming a lot, it's because it's an election year and it's really busy.
Yep.
So Yep. And and my pronouns are she, her, and I am a proud queer bisexual woman. So, hello.
Oh, hell yeah. Also, I love the coordinated wig. The trans rights wig. Gotta respect. Um,
Thank you for noticing.
Yeah, yeah. Shark, let's round it out with you.
Sure. Hey, what's going on? My name is Shark300. That's the word shark. Oh my gosh, I haven't done this in so long. I forgot how to do my own like panel intro. The word shark, the number 3, the letter O, and the word 0. I'm happy to be here. My life is a little bit different than some people's here. I've only had to come out as black, but that's different than for other people. If I have to be honest, in real life, I am a world-renowned Splatoon player, but online, I am an activist as well. Also offline, but every once in a while. You can't see it, but up here, I did go to Louisville's Breonna Taylor march. I've been to a few of them. Helped out in eastern Kentucky during the flooding in July. Helped donate some water bottles. Was there at the ground floor of Indiana's first Starbucks union, and trying to do my best to make
This was
the world
supposed to be an even bigger crossover.
place.
Slaps Hungry Bears.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Oh, and I
Thank
guess you
you.
can find me on YouTube or whatever.
Oh,
if you want.
Pronouns?
He, him.
And my name is Riverboat Jack, and I am a trans lady, she, her, and I've been involved in like the nonprofit space for a very long time. I was a journalist and I guess
Egg shark moment, true.
community builder for a national charity that aligns with Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And then I transitioned into covering politics and putting on these live shows, these live events, and building up communities. So the hope for this event and all of the subsequent events going, into the future is to build up political power and to build up a community of people that can be called upon to volunteer in different races, to basically swing politics in a more progressive direction. That's the goal that we're kind of trying to prove that we can do as an online community for the midterms in 2022. And if that pans out, which I think it will, given that the last 2 events alone have brought in over 700 volunteers to campaign for progressive candidates, which is a huge number, considering that like 25 highly motivated people can change a race. So the hope is that going forward, this will be a community that can get involved in the 2024 election as well. So we're building something really, really cool here, and hopefully that is not going to just fizzle out after 1 or 2 political actions. So that is kind of our goal here, and we are again really asking you to go and sign up at transilculture.com to volunteer and join the Progressive Victory 2022 Discord at PV exclamation point victory in chat. One of the cool things, by the way, and the reason why we're directing a lot of people to the Progressive Victory Discord is because they have a combined decades upon decades worth of experience with political organizing and campaign building. And so if you have questions about whether how do I text bank? How do I phone bank? I want to get out there and do something, but canvassing is scary. I have social anxiety, blah, 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 blah. They have ways to make all of this way less intimidating, way less scary, and way more fun. And if you're, someone who's lonely and disaffected because of the last several years of COVID lockdown, this is a great way to get out there, meet like-minded friends, and make a positive impact on your community, and frankly, take a stand for trans rights, which are again under attack in pretty much every conservative state in the United States. So, with that being said, I just want to open up the discussion here to what about to what about the races that you guys are finding interesting? Whether it's the Herschel Walker v. Warnock race, which is popping off in pretty much every conceivable way, or the Josh Shapiro v. Doug Mastriano race, or any of the state level races as well. And again, we're focusing on Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, North Carolina, and Wisconsin. But yeah, what's kind of been catching your eye, and what have you been thinking about lately? Again, open to everyone.
I had no idea who Herschel Walker was until Twitter started blowing up, and I was like, "What?" Like everything I learned about this man, I'm like, like I didn't know that the plot could thicken like this.
I had because I had heard of Christian Walker. I did not know that they were related until all of this blew up, and I was like, "Wait a minute! The guy that I always see whose TikToks go viral for being bazonkers, that's his son." Yeah, it's nuts, and it's really depressing when you see someone like that, and it's still like a relatively tight race. Or there are people that are willing to go above and beyond to excuse that behavior when you know they would never give the same extension of empathy to anyone else, especially a person with a uterus. They're like, no, that doesn't make sense. I also just want to say, I one race I'm really focused on. I married into a family that is big in the Midwest, so I'm loving the Wisconsin Senate race with Mandela Barnes versus Ron Johnson, who is awful. But Mandela is fantastic, and the fact that he's won a statewide election,
it's transel culture, so I'll let you figure it out.
Extremely well when looking towards his chances for beating Ron Johnson. And they just had a debate last night, and do you want to rage and like just get real upset at the disparity of competency and ability to address the issues? I suggest watching some of those highlights because it'll light a fire under you.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch that whole debate yet, but I did see one clip of it making the rounds, which is where the moderators do that softball question thing where they're like, name one thing you think the other candidate is good at. And Mandela Barnes just like straight up goes, I think he's a great family man. Like, he really cares about his family. Like, and that's a pretty standard answer. But then Ron Johnson steps up and is just like, yeah, this Mandela Barnes guy, and like just starts like laying into him, and the crowd starts booing.
Anti-American. Yeah. He called Mandela Barnes anti-American, and then the crowd started booing because they're like, guy, you can't just like be nice for a second. Like it's because all of these Republicans are trying to copy and paste the blueprint set out by Trump, because that was his whole persona of being this like just like unrepentant asshole. But it works for maybe like his, I don't know, his brand. But when they're trying to recreate it, it just rings so much more hollow and try hard. And I think also people are just sick of it. They're like, come on, we've seen this. It doesn't work. You are not Trump, so tell us who you are. And they're like,
yeah. Well, and part of it is, again, and I think this is what makes it really easy for a lot of people here on the panel right now. Like, Mandela Barnes is just pro-trans rights. It's a really easy position to have. Like, when you're a cis person, like, it's a layup. But like for Ron Johnson and like transphobes who have that as one of their core political positions, they have to jump through like hoops and essentially present like bogus science and like try to back up their claim, because one of their kryptonites is being called out for their bigotry. Like if you call like a transphobe a transphobe, they start crying, and that like gets amplified the higher up the political food chain they are.
Yeah,
You know,
they squirm.
exactly.
Oh yeah. And there's so much hypocrisy. Sorry, and I think like that is really the key, is putting a label on it, calling it what it is, because they can't continue to hide behind this veil of what we really care about is protecting children. Oh no, what we really care about is making sure that the children are taken care of and whatever. It's like,
We
but
really care about the sanctity of women's sports.
Right. As a former college athlete, like college scholarship athlete, let me be the first to say, we did not get, if you're competing in whatever sport, we don't give a shit what gender our opponents were assigned at birth. Like I genuinely don't care about the state of their genitals. I don't care about any of that. That never even runs through your mind as an athlete. You just want to be the best at your sport and what you're doing. Like the fact that they pretend to care, I'm like, yeah, you don't care about women's sports. Stop pretending you care about women's sports.
Yeah, they've been to like maybe one women's volleyball game, and that's
only because we have to wear those awful shorts.
Sorry, what, Shark?
Yeah, it's like they go to one singular women's sports game because it was their nieces or something, and they actively always make fun of women even attempting to do anything physical because apparently they're not built for it, while also making fun of them for not being into like sports or anything, while also saying that it'd be so cool to have their like sports wife like walking around the house with like no pants on but like their favorite team's jersey on, bringing him and the boys dip. It's just, and like the only ever time that they care about something like gymnastics, which is an incredibly involved sport, is like when they can go see the new like gymnast in her like really tiny shorts go vault over, and that's the only thing that they really care about. They've never cared about that because like if they did, they wouldn't be passing laws to let the principal check like your like niece's genitals. They'd be passing laws that would make it harder for what they'd be doing is funding more women's sports in like under college, and what they'd be doing would be to make sure that those women don't get assaulted, abused, taken advantage of by their like coaches, by other people, and things when they're in like a vulnerable position.
True.
But they don't. They just don't care about it. They never have, and they never will. It's every single time they bring up women in these like scenarios, it's always just like a way for them to get a new sick dunk on trans people because they know they've never cared. But
Oh yeah.
Another like little point, and I'll pass the mic over again, is like when it comes to like not wanting to be called like a transphobe, nobody wants to. Nobody is the villain of their own story. Like as evil as a lot of conservatives seem, a lot of them aren't like going down into their rogues gallery lair under their giga mansions paid for by ExxonMobil executives and rubbing their hands together and going muhaha, how will I destroy the trans agenda today? It's more they have like their own ideas of it, and so the second they get called out on it, it's the sort of it's what you can see if you've ever like been next to these people and somebody hits them in like a contradiction and you hear like a weird grinding sound. That's their brain grinding up against reality, and the pain that they feel when they go when you have to come to grips with the fact that you're not correct but you don't want to say it.
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing. Like one of the things we've been seeing is that there are certain states where conservatives are trying to revive anti-trans bathroom bills. And one of what I find really interesting, right, is that conservatives are never like, well, we need to invest in bathroom infrastructure so that every business in our state or country can build, a third bathroom facility for the trans people, the trans only bathroom. No conservative is like, yes, we want to allocate billions of dollars to create bathroom facilities. What they want to do instead is punish and weaponize the police against trans people who get noticed going into the wrong bathroom. That's fundamentally what it comes down to, because that's what they care about. They want to essentially take the job of enacting violence on trans people that is currently kind of occupied by lone thugs, and they want to give that job to the police and legitimize it with the power of the state. And so that's why they never bring up, like, yes, we are very much in favor of using taxpayer dollars to build safe trans bathrooms for all of the trans people. Like, none of them do that. None of them do that because none of them want their tax dollars actually going to doing anything that might even tangentially benefit trans people. It's why so many of them lost their minds over the fact that, like, $900,000 went to, like, trans people's surgeries in the military or something, and that was enough of justification to ban all trans people from the military. You know?
And wasn't it like 22 million for Viagra or other erectile dysfunction drugs?
Yeah, something.
Well, yeah,
I need it
because those are important. Yeah.
Soft PP bad.
Yeah, but like honestly, and don't let them. And I'm not sure if especially anybody listening, if you know how to combat that, like, sort of the bathroom argument, especially when it comes to like the weird like danger argument of having like men use like similar bathrooms to like female body people. We already have those bathrooms. They're called family bathrooms, where literally anybody can walk in at any point in time. They're everywhere. I've used them. You've used them. Everybody's used them. And nothing bad happens because people don't go in there to I was gonna make a joke, because people don't go into family bathrooms to like assault people. They typically go to the family bathrooms to pee or poo. I've heard it's happened. I'm not sure if women do it though.
It's true. Well, also, like, just statistically, I haven't looked into this, but it seems like it would pan out that, like, more people coming into one bathroom would decrease the likelihood of, like, sexual assault. Like, what if we just combined all the bathrooms? What if we just had family bathrooms for all bathrooms?
Personally, a big fan of just, like, if all the stalls could just be their own little bathroom, so that there's not like a 5-foot gap in between the door and like the divider, so that people can watch as I pee. If they could just be enclosed fully, that'd be great. I don't care if I see people at the sink. That's great, fine, sure. But, you know, as long as I have some privacy when I'm doing my business. But I imagine most people would like privacy when they're doing their business. But
how could the retail workers creepily check and see if you're shoplifting if the wasn't like visible gaps? Like, I'm pretty sure that's why they're designed that way.
Well, it's that
glass.
Oh, I thought it was just because they're cheap.
Yeah, it's that, and because they're cheaper, less material.
Yeah.
So how will the capitalists make their sweet, sweet money?
Oh, no.
In college, in my dorm, our dorms were co-ed bathrooms, and you got used to it. It really isn't that.
Everyone can see you
really
poop.
isn't
True.
that bad. They're like, oh no, but then other people are gonna know I'm pooping.
They're gonna know. They're gonna know.
It's okay. It's okay. We all poop. Everyone poops. It's okay.
It's like, honey, those noises you make straining were enough to tell us.
Yeah.
The extra fiber. I think for me, I guess the rates that I've been watching the most, I guess, has been mostly between. Well, I have to cover all of them, so I've been looking at all of them somewhat recently. I guess the one that's been popping off recently has been the Walker Warnock race between radical liberal Raphael Warnock and his opponent. That story is just incredibly interesting because it's on the back of a massive issue that Republicans have had this election season, which is another reason why Democrats are at a pretty good place comparatively with other years. This is supposed to be a red wave year. There's literally no reason why we should be even talking about the Democrats holding or gaining seats in the Senate and possibly even holding the House. That's not supposed to be possible. But the Republicans have been so bad and their candidates are so terrible that it's like completely defying all election norms. And so this isn't the only one. I mean, there was the person in Missouri who made the guy in Missouri, I forgot his name, who did you've seen it, like the ad where he's like, here's my rhino hunting license, and he kicked down the door with SWAT, and it was supposed to be like we're going to hunt non-Trump supporting Republicans, stuff like that.
Rhinos.
I didn't know about that.
Rhino hunter, and the guy who beat his children and then tied his mistress in his basement to his elliptical machine.
That's right.
Yeah, there was that, and now there's Walker, where he paid for one, maybe two abortions, which on the surface, whatever, but it's the hypocrisy of it and the fact that they all come together and they're like, yeah, I mean, it's whatever, I guess. It's okay, I guess, as long as as long as he hates like trans people and black people, like as long as he can do that, that's fine. It's
Also,
so
like,
go
oh,
ahead.
sorry. Also, when it comes to Warnock, I know that the abortion stuff and like the hypocrisy of that has been at the forefront, but I really can't get over the very, very, very recurring nature of threats that he makes to people he doesn't like, which is where he repeatedly threatens to shoot people in the head. Like,
Oh, is this Herschel Walker?
Herschel Walker, yeah.
Yeah.
Herschel Walker has like
The fact
half
we
a
have to ask for,
dozen.
like, clarification on like,
He
wait,
got
which
problems.
candidate are we talking about for
Yeah.
this that wants to shoot people in the head? Because there's more than one.
Yeah, he like there are like affidavits from like his ex-wife's sister, like about how like he had called her looking for her, and then when he found out she was like his ex-wife was out with like her boyfriend, he told her he was going to shoot her in the head. Like he's like he's not even denied it, and it's kind of wild that that's not like the major talking point. Like over
Oh,
like
and
you want to
and the
elect a
fact
guy
that-
who's going to shoot you in the head?
Yeah, not
Really?
only
It's an
that,
Xbox
he,
Live
he
tune on
actually held
Halo.
a gun to her head and a knife to her throat and said he was going to kill her. So that happened a while ago. And the fact that Christian Walker had to come out and say that he threatened to kill like him and his family like over and over and over and over again to the point where they had to move like
Yeah, just a
six
bit
times.
fashy,
It's horrible.
Jimsy.
It really is bad. Yeah, there's that one, and there's the race in Ohio that Tim Ryan could possibly win, which I think is honestly hilarious. I think that's really funny, if I'm going to be honest. Because like his election with Hillary Clinton is what makes people think that Ohio is like a solid red state now. But I think like honestly, I know we weren't supposed to talk about it too much, but I think the race in Alaska is the most interesting race for me.
Okay.
The one that put in the first ever like Alaskan Native American into office, the statewide House race there from the Republican who had been in office for what was it, 60 years? I think he was sitting there for 60
It had
entire
always,
years.
yeah, it had been 60 years, and that seat had never once been in the hands of a Democrat.
Yeah, and then all of
Wow.
a sudden, two fights between the Republican candidates put them over the top, and then they're going to be doing a rerun of the same exact race in about a month from
Oh,
now
I'm sleepy.
to try to do it again. And it looks like Paltola, I'm pretty sure that's her name, could win again. That one's incredibly interesting. And I
Yeah.
mean, like the fact that like we could possibly remain two Democrats in Georgia, two Democrats in Arizona. This is a wild world that we live in. I mean, I guess it's not too. I don't know. Maybe I'm a young boy. Okay, so I'm not too wild. I don't remember. I wasn't like cognizant of the world really when Claire McCaskill was voted into office in Missouri. I used to live in St. Louis, so my parents voted for her. But yeah, we're coming. It's really interesting how the Rust Belt and then the Sun Belt's moving and everything. It's quite an interesting time.
Yeah. And one of the interesting things too is like it's not just because you're young. Like it's because like this is an unprecedented year for fuck ups by Republicans, essentially.
True.
Because I don't think they know what to do in a post-Trump world, which is why they've been really hanging their hats on like making protecting the sanctity of girls' sports and making sure that every children's hospital in the state is flooded with bomb threats for treating trans children. Like it's why they have to do this shit. It's because they know that they've fucked up and they don't know how to like politically get on the right foot again. And like it really doesn't help because a lot of the candidates they've been fielding are just like you said, Shark. Like they're just so terrible. Like like Doug Mastriano is giving Josh Shapiro a run for his money in Pennsylvania for the governorship, but like
He's a freaking
like-
dumpster fire.
he's like he has pictures of himself in uniform in the uniform of the Confederacy. Like he is posed for pictures. He showed up to a faculty meeting at like West Point or some military
cringe.
school in like the uniform of the Confederacy, and like his colleagues were just kind of like, what, why are you doing that? Like you didn't even have to dress up. Like you went out of
Nah, he
your
just wanted
way.
to. He really wanted.
Army
he
War
was having fun.
College.
Yeah, he just had a Confederate uniform laying around, you know?
And
You know
then
how you do.
Yeah, put it to use.
Dr. Oz just had an appearance in which he was speaking in front of one of Hitler's old cars adorned with the swastika.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't see that?
No.
At a high
Oh
dollar
my God.
fundraiser in California. Let's see if I can find
Oh
more
my
on it.
god.
Oh,
Yeah, he
so
was standing
sleepy.
in front
They
of
li-
Hitler's
yeah.
old
Role-playing being a traitor is
Volkswagen,
practice,
I
true.
remember, and then he had Jordan Peterson call in.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Cool.
I
Like,
can't
it's funny
believe-
because he was accusing his like hit line on Fetterman was, oh, he looks like a Simpsons character. The Simpsons literally made like they also had a bit where they showed someone speaking in front of Hitler's car, and then Oz literally fucking spoke in front of Hitler's car.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and then it came out.
It's
I'm not sure if you
literally
saw it
right
recently.
behind him.
Yeah, like back when he was working as like an actual doctor doing research at a college, that his lab killed 600 bunnies and rodents.
Puppies too.
An entire
Yeah,
litter
yeah,
of
like-
puppies. Not only just like some, an entire litter.
I
He
read about
gassed an
that.
entire litter of puppies. Like genuine, just like I
Over
would make up
300
that
dogs,
stuff.
including puppies.
Yeah.
Yep.
300 dogs, including an entire litter of puppies, and a bunch
but
of other.
Shark-
He's a
as well.
Shark.
literal puppy killer.
It gets even worse because he didn't just kill an entire litter of puppies. He killed like a good portion of that litter of puppies and then threw the dead bodies into a plastic bag that had still living puppies inside of it.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
It gets
I didn't know that
worse.
part.
He's like
Oh
an
my God.
actual demon.
Yeah, like also there was a report from one of the experiments where they kept the dog alive for like a month torturing it and then weren't even able to get any like medical research out of that. So they just did it for no reason. Like
According-
it's
One
actual
Oz-led
monster.
study resulted in a litter of puppies being killed by intracardiac injection with syringes of expired drugs inserted in their hearts without any sedation. That is
Yep.
fucking
Like-
monstrous. These are like,
Yeah,
jeez.
you gotta get pretty bad. You gotta do pretty bad to get like the ethics community to come down on you like that when it comes to animal experimentation, especially when it comes to like small animals like rats and rodents. Like if you're doing that to like rats and rodents, the ones that people give like the least of a hoot about, then they're like, then you know that you've done something wrong. Like that's not.
You
it's
have to
genuinely
work
wild.
you have to work really
you have to
hard
work
to
double
be called a
time to
puppy
get them.
killer.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
When people describe like a villain or like, oh, imagine a villain, they're like, oh, angry eyebrows and da 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 da, and like kills puppies. Like that, I feel like is on the short list of like, okay, just like cartoon villain. Who is it?
No,
And that is
Maddie.
it.
Maddie, even Cruella DeVille was at least killing the puppies to use their coats as part
to
of her
like
clothing.
make a coat, and he
Yeah,
just did it
he-
for no output, for like zero scientific gain, zero medical gain. Just
He just in his spare time, he just likes killing puppies.
I guess.
he's like, well, I had the time,
Yeah.
so
I mean,
Yeah.
I knew he was a monster of a man, but holy crap.
Yeah, that on top of his like record of lying to people's grandmas and like suburban moms about like drugs that he was being paid under the table for to promote on his show. So it's not. He's he's just a character.
He's
a
as dishonest as
massive
dishonest comes.
Well, he's also one of the only medical doctors I've ever seen have like actual medical journals publishing pieces in them calling him like a fake doctor who no one should take seriously. Like it's actually kind of shocking that you can open up different, like, again, medical journals. Medical journals don't do that. Medical journals usually are publishing research, but like he gained so much prominence and so much clout that the impartial like scientific community had to like start saying, please stop listening to this man.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
making
I
everything
mean,
worse. Stop, please.
Yeah.
seriously. Well, and also it's just because, he had this massive platform where he, I think, figured out pretty quickly, as a lot of people do, that, oh, if I take money from these companies, yeah, I can shill for them because it gives them a nice quote unquote credible face because I'm a medical doctor. It doesn't actually have to work, but this is like, I'm going to make more money this way than if I did actual medicine. So why wouldn't I do that? And now he has like lots of fancy houses. I assume one of which maybe, oh, if you see the ears in the background, that's my dog. Which is why I take the puppy killing stuff really seriously. But yeah, he gets all these houses, and maybe one of them is in Pennsylvania now.
Yeah.
Who knows?
He doesn't even live. He doesn't even live there. He just decided that he wanted to run there because he knew he would
It's
get Trump's
adjacent.
endorsement because he said something nice to him.
Yeah. Ugh. It just, for anyone to even consider voting for someone like that, I'm like, that just demonstrates how unserious you are about anything, because you actually don't care about the candidate. You don't care about their history, their credibility, anything. You just care that there's an R next to the name.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
That's
sure if you
it.
all saw this, but that's just kind of, I mean, that's just kind of how they work. I mean, we really saw like the modern day sort of like Trumpian Republican, how they don't care about anything besides just like getting a hold of power and then like holding it for dear life as long as possible. What was his name? Roy Moore in like Mississippi.
Oh, yep.
Who
Yes.
like was credibly accused of like hunting sexually many small girls at the mall for so long that he had to get banned from the mall. But then a lot
Yeah.
of like
God, I haven't
older
heard
women
Roy
were
Moore's
just like,
name in a
well,
long
I mean,
time.
he was just being real nice to him. Yeah, they should feel they should feel
Honored.
They should feel honored that he took interest in them. And it was wild. And then he
God.
almost won his race. He almost did.
I
It seemed like-
swear I swear
Mhm.
conservatives would make excuses if a Republican was revealed to have actually like participated in recreating like the deadliest game or something like that, the most dangerous game, and like had like a
Hunt
people
people for
hunting
sport.
island, and
Yeah,
like
I mean,
Republicans would just
when
be
Trump
like
said-
they'd
Well,
just be
they
like
consented.
they,
Yeah, they
they,
signed the
they
waiver.
consented.
said back when he was running, he said I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and I wouldn't lose any votes. I mean, it's just true. And like, especially we saw when it happened with Herschel Walker. Remember how they're supposed to say like, this is murder, you're literally killing people, you should be
Yep.
put on death row for this. There was somebody who came up after this whole thing happened on The Blaze, and she was like, I don't care if Herschel Walker got like paid for an abortion. I wouldn't care if he intentionally killed an entire nest of endangered bald eagles. I want control of the Senate. And then she
Yep.
just looked at the camera and was like, I don't care. I just want control of the Senate. This is just what these people are. I say it all the time, like, we can't give these people any levers of power at all. They don't care about anything besides just making the world worse.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and listening to that like made me think of Carrie Lake, and I know that this race I think has gone a little bit under the radar, but Carrie Lake is. Hello.
Hello?
Oh,
You're still there.
Okay, I think I dropped out for a second. But sorry. But Carrie Lake is a race that's gone kind of under the radar, and I think that a lot of it has to do with the fact that she presents herself well and presents herself like she's not like a caricature of pure evil. And so one of the things here with her race in particular is, you know, she'll go up and like present herself well, but then she'll say things like, we need to arrest Anthony Fauci, you know, to like thunderous applause, or we need to you know, get the rainbow out of our schools because the woke moralists have replaced God and the flag with the rainbow, and essentially like to the point where like where mainstream Republicans who pay attention to this shit are basically flagging her as one of the most dangerous like Trump imitators, and like an actual danger to democracy. You know, like
Yeah.
Do you remember what she said before she actually won the nomination?
You'll have.
Her
She
house?
said so many things.
Really?
So go
She
for it.
said, during the you should look it up. You should look up there's like a supercut of the Republican Arizona governor's race debate. It was so there was like one Italian woman who always went "Mamma
Clue,
mia"
perhaps?
when she was getting talked over, which honestly was hilarious.
was.
And there was like another guy who said that the polls were lying, even though he was polling at like 0.1%, and he said he was going to win because the polls lying, they want to shut him down. But like Carrie Lake, who won, she said that the reason why Arizona went for Biden was because Democrats trafficked 5 million illegal votes on the back of mules over the Rio Grande. I'm not lying to you. That's what she said, and the mod
hell?
was
The backs
genuinely losing
of
his mind.
mules.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
On
what
the
was it?
backs of mules.
Yeah, 5 million votes on the backs of mules into the country through Mexico.
No one noticed the migration of mules just
Yeah, and she was one of the
crossing
people
over.
during
with
Oh,
the
that
votes
happens
on
every
during
day.
the election cycle who said that we need to check all the ballot boxes for bamboo fibers to see if they came from China. Because they think that like all Chinese people, I don't know, maybe they played WoW and they think all Chinese people are actual pandas just in the factories eating bamboo and putting together the election systems. It's wild.
Yeah.
It truly
Don't be
Also, everyone
ridiculous, Shark. They
knows-
mine gold there.
Oh yeah.
Also, everyone knows there's no bamboo anywhere else. It's just in China. There's no bamboo that we grow here at all whatsoever.
That's
so,
factual. I've heard that before.
That checks out. So it's wild, but like that kind of, I just want to say that kind of candidate is who scares me the most because we've gotten, I don't want to say lucky, but like we've gotten a little bit lucky with the fact that so many of these, like there's a massive candidate quality problem. The scary thing is that there are people who can have a nice smile. They can say things that sound
I gotta
reasonable
grab water real quick.
and sound like they are educated on a particular subject, whatever, and then they just slide in the most heinous shit in terms of policy and other things, and they do so cynically
with water.
because they know what they're doing, because they're smart enough to know what they're doing. Those people scare me a lot more than these just like complete idiots.
Yeah, that's
that are
basically like
outwardly.
what we're looking at, coming up, 2 years down the road is, people are still talking about Trump. No, I'm worried about DeSantis. I'm worried about a statesman getting that job who hates us just as much as Trump did, if not more, who knows how to manipulate the system.
Exactly.
Trump didn't.
And people, it's also those type of people. So there are plenty of these sort of what they might call themselves moderate Republicans. They kind of have like more libertarian leaning. And a lot of those people, they have trouble voting for the people who are outwardly, like overtly racist, misogynist, homophobic, transphobic, whatever. But when those people are given someone who's clean cut, who comes from what they consider like a respectable background, if you put a nice, polite face on it and just transfer all of that to dog whistling, then that they feel like that gives them permission to support this person because, oh no, I'm not a racist, I'm not transphobic, I'm not sexist, because this person, they don't like yell the N-word, they don't yell slurs all the time and like whatever. So of course they're not bigoted. Look at them, they're so poised. It gives them permission. That's what scares me.
Yeah, like part of the issue is like a lot of there are so many socially acceptable ways to convey bigotry right now. Like so many different dog whistles. Like more so than in the past even. Like where Carrie Lake can go up in front of a crowd of people and talk about how all these undocumented immigrants are somehow got 5 million mules or whatever to bring votes across the border, and like conservatives will just clap along and be like, yes queen, yes, but like don't understand how that is like a deeply racist dog whistle that has no basis in reality. The same way like a lot of the trans stuff, like, oh, we need to make sure trans women don't go into our bathrooms because they're you know what they're like. You know what they're like, and like the assumption is that the audience is gonna nod along because, well, yeah, men are just inherently violent. So if you allow men into a women's restroom, of course they're gonna rape women. Like that's the entire underlying assumption. And
Can I just point out
Republicans will
really
just
quickly?
like nod along. Yeah.
I looked it up. The estimate is that in the entire world right now, there are about 10 million mules in total. So what she's proposing is that half
Half
the
of
world's
them.
population
Wow.
of mules are cross the border and are now somewhere in Arizona. And so
Well,
half the
to be
world's
fair
mules.
to her, I think she said 5 million votes on the back of mules.
Oh,
which
okay.
would
So
probably
not
take
one
less
mule
than 5
per.
million. Probably not one per mule. I think
That's fair.
So she says
Okay.
the Democrats are at least doing like a couple hundred per mule.
One vote
Okay.
per mule.
There's still a lot. There's still a lot.
Okay.
I mean, it's
I'm
not
just
too much
saying.
different from Donald Trump unironically going, well, the illegal aliens, they voted and then they put on a new hat and then they voted again and they put on a fake mustache and they voted again and then 3 little ones were in a big trench coat and they all voted. And then they went around and then did it separately. I mean, it's
Did he actually say the 3 little ones in a trench coat?
But
maybe
it was heavily implied.
maybe.
Or like, but it's funny because actually there were some people that tried to vote twice, but the majority of them were Trump voters and they were caught.
That's
And
true.
like,
Yeah.
we're facing charges for it because actually our system
Yeah,
has
you're
a
right,
lot of
Violet.
flaws in other ways, including access to voting, that sort of thing. But when it comes to ensuring the integrity of the vote and preventing voter fraud, it's actually quite good.
Yeah. I mean, like, and on top of that, you have a slightly different orientation of politician, right? Who will be like, well, I'm not bigoted. I simply believe that if we repealed all of the protections that groups have, that people would simply not be bigoted towards those people. You know, like the whole, it's kind of like the cute approach to like bigotry, like. Oh, you trans people and you queer people don't need special protections. We'll just get rid of those, and everything will be fine.
They act like who would even want to bother you? Like homophobia is over. Who would even want to bother you for being gay? Like meanwhile, like I know at least 3 people who've been like beaten up within the last 5 years.
We all know
Yeah.
that Obama abolished racism.
It's true.
And homophobia. So, and Pete Buttigieg abolished homophobia.
Well, no,
that's always bigger.
don't you be stealing Trump's accomplishment when he stood up on that stage and held up that LGBT flag upside
You're right,
down.
my bad.
He abolished homophobia in that very moment. Okay.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton
don't-
almost abolished sexism, but we're still waiting for that one.
One
She
day.
came so close. Yeah.
One day.
But like Ted Budd in North Carolina is like that type of politician, you know, like he has gone on record as saying essentially that LGBTQ people don't need civil rights law protection at all. He answered that sexual orientation and gender identity should not be protected. It should not be a protected class in regards to non-discrimination laws. So just like he's not
Is
homophobic.
that a sign of
He
declaring
just
war?
thinks
I
that
did not
like
know that, Violet.
you shouldn't be prosecuted if you're homophobic and act on it.
It's because they like to assume they're like they just are completely opposed to any notion of intersectionality. And I mean, if you ask them, you're like, should any classes be protected? Their answer is going to be no, because they think they've enjoyed sort of being in this superior societal position as like cis white men. In their cases, like some affluent cis white men. So of course they're like, no, why should anyone get special treatment? They should all, have to rough it like I did. It's like, but did you? Because you were never targeted for your identity. They just have no empathy or ability to view the life experience through someone else's lens that experiences violence, threats, and just in general, like oppression
I
specifically
don't know
because of
about
their
that.
identity.
I don't know about that, Maddie. I've been listening to Kanye recently, and he's
Oh yeah,
he's got some really interesting things to say about the oppression of the white race. Okay.
Them.
right.
Yeah.
I will actually push back against that a little bit, and I'll say actually they don't completely agree with that because they won't say nobody does. They'll say air quotes Americans do. And they'll either say
Sure.
just Americans generally, they'll say real Americans, something like that. Real
Right.
America, Americans, but it's asterisks. I mean Americans that like vote for me. Those are the ones that need like real protection. Those are the ones that need help. And they'll have this and sometimes they'll be even more out and be like white people need more protection because they're more oppressed than anybody else is in the world. Or in like the country at the moment, and we need to stop these Mexicans from coming in, and we got to stop these black people from committing so many crimes. And we got to stop these like this that and the third, or whatever it really is. They do think like protection needs to be had, but they want to spin it for themselves to make them seem like they're the ones who are the real oppressed groups in the country, when we all
They
know it's
don't.
absolutely
Yeah.
it's just like it's cry bullying.
They don't.
Yeah,
Yeah. They don't
or the
see it
Christians
as
need protection.
right. Well, because they don't see it as like, oh no, these are groups that are systemically oppressed and face violence because of their identity. They see it as, oh wait, why do those people get special privileges? Oh no, why do those people get special things? I want all those special things. Or if I can't have it, then they shouldn't have it. But only the people I like or the groups that I'm part of should have it. So they don't. It's like when you're so detached from any form of like real oppression or identity based violence, that
Gotta make it
you
up.
view just like basic yeah, you view basic protections as like, oh no, but they get all the cool, they get all these cool things, they get to be special. It's like, no, no,
Yeah.
you like, you'll be fine.
Yeah, classic
Yes.
quote when equality comes, it'll to the oppressor, it'll seem like oppression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's why you get people talking about like South Africa and like the oppression of like the whites in South Africa, right? Like it's exactly like what you said, Shark. It's equality to these people looks like oppression. Um, but with that, let's go around one more time, just kind of to wrap up this first hour of discussion, and then we'll move into kind of the next segment, which will be kind of us spitballing some ideas on what we could do to get some media attention on some of our races that we're looking at. Let's start with Don't Uwu My Owo.
What am I doing?
Just final thoughts on our general conversation so far, and then we're gonna move on.
Y'all are vastly better read than me on these races. I was trying to catch up during and read up on the notes and stuff. But in PA, there's a lot of races that are getting pretty interesting. My partner is registered independent, so we get a lot of flyers that are from Republicans, and there's a hammer and sickle on a lot of them. Apparently Chris Deluzio, a guy I've never heard of, is a socialist who's bringing in the next Antichrist or something. Um, but the Fetterman race is really interesting.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed watching him. He's a really cool guy.
he is. Yeah, Luxander.
Hello. I don't feel like I had a whole lot to add to this first segment. Like, we've talked about all these different races at various points a bit. I mean, honestly, just like everything I learned about Herschel Walker just has me like reeling. I'm like, I didn't know that this was possible in a political candidate. Like, oh my God, every single thing I learned about him. It's one of those, I'm just riveted by it. I'm just like, I'm at the edge of my seat, like waiting with bated breath for every update. What'd you say, Shark?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like what's next? It's like a movie. You paid for your entire seat, but you only need the edge.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So I'm just astounded constantly at the depths of depravity.
Maddie, what about you?
There's a lot of really interesting races right now, and I've been very encouraged by how much energy already has been galvanized around these candidates and the kinds of media attention that they've been able to generate. So I'm stoked about Wisconsin in particular, and I think we have a really strong chance, not only in Arizona and Georgia, but also I think we have a good chance of hanging on in Nevada, which is fantastic. I've gone and done some canvassing in Nevada, and yeah, it canvas in rural Nevada, it'll change you. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm just thinking that, especially with the slew of decisions that have come down from Biden in the last few weeks, I think it's going to help mobilize people to the polls. I am going to work my ass off through the finish line to make sure that we can feel really good about the outcome on election day. But yeah, and yeah, Herschel Walker is just a Russian nesting doll of terribleness that just never ends. You don't get to the bottom. There's
It's like a
never.
bottomless pit of it, just like
Yep.
layer after layer, and it seems to never end.
You're like, oh, yeah. It's like instead of oops all berries, you're like, oops all bad, all terrible.
And Shark.
Sure. I think. Oh, thank you for mentioning Nevada. I forgot to mention Nevada. It's one of the closest. It's turned into one of the closest races this election cycle. So if there's any race that you were thinking about putting any sort of money into, I would say like the big ones would be probably Nevada being top of the list, then Georgia, then Ohio. If you really want your dollars to have like the most amount of work done, and then actually my bad, I put Wisconsin right under Nevada. Lots of really close races.
Yeah.
Honestly, that will need your help. And so listen, if once again, if you're like, man, I'm pretty sad, man, I ain't got any bitches, I have no friends, I need somebody to play Rocket League with. And once again, bitches is any gender, okay? Just to make sure that we're all clear here.
Oh yeah.
Getting out and organizing and getting out there and meeting like-minded people for the same goal of making the world a better place is something that can really get you out of doom scrolling. It can really get you out of like a bad mind state and get you back into feeling like yourself, and honestly, even better than yourself, that you remember. Because I know when I go out to help people, it's truly a great feeling. So there you go. There's even a selfish reason to do it.
You meet so many fun people. Yes, and if you want to come, canvas in Nevada,
bitches being gender neutral, true.
Twitter or Discord or anywhere else. Like, I'm going to be going there a few times. I will, if you're based in California, I will drive you.
If you're in Pennsylvania, I am one of the state leads with Progressive Victory, by the way, for PAs. So we need more volunteers in a lot of races.
And yeah, like a lot of these races are incredibly close, which is why one of the reasons I got really excited about putting together these kind of volunteer organizing events that we're doing here on Twitch and on stream is because like you have the capacity to actually like tip the scales. Like when we're talking about like a 1% polling difference, like you getting out there and like knocking doors or calling people or like texting people can actually like shift the balance of power meaningfully in these races. And you don't have to be from that state in order to participate in that way. I believe you don't even have to be like from the United States if you want to canvass.
No.
Yeah,
we had students from Germany during the presidential primaries in 2020 canvass in Iowa with us. So yeah, you can be from anywhere.
And because you can phone and text bank, that means like if you are in our audience and you are anywhere in the world, you can also play a hand in shifting the balance of power in the United States, which I know has ramifications for literally every other place on Earth. So with that being said, yeah, a lot of these races are super interesting. I wasn't paying attention to that Nevada race, but I will be now. Thank you, Shark. And yeah, we just have it is a target-rich environment to asshole conservatives. Like throw a dart. Basically, any conservative running a campaign right now is engaging in like open and blatant transphobia and bigotry and dog whistling racism. Like like you cannot find a campaign where that isn't. And uh, it's key to not just like trans rights but also abortion rights. For example, like Wisconsin's race is currently like heavily hinging on abortion rights. Tony Evers has been trying multiple times to get rid of the 1849 abortion laws that are in place there that got reactivated by the repeal of Roe v. Wade. And the conservatives in that state aren't having it, even though it is a widely popular thing to get rid of that and ensure that people in Wisconsin have access to abortion. Um, and
Barnes, by the way, is only leading by 2.9% currently.
yeah, Evers is currently only leading by 1%. You know, like shoring up some of these is like crucial if we want to make sure that like I don't know,
He's losing by my mistake.
If you want to make sure that like rape victims can get abortions, if you want to make sure that like people who people who are sick and like have cancer aren't forced to wait until their cancer metastasizes in order to get like treatment just because they happen to be pregnant when they got diagnosed, like you need to turn out, because abortion exceptions when it comes to like incest, rape, or like the health of the mother, these are all like bogus. Okay, it is essentially a salve to like make conservatives feel better about denying women healthcare. Okay, because ultimately, how long does it take the cops to establish whether or not an abortion occurred? Do you know? Because I think it's usually longer than it takes to deliver like a baby to term. Or what about the health? Are you comfortable with like one of your loved ones getting pregnant and then being refused healthcare because they happen to be pregnant and like the treatment might harm like the fetus?
I mean,
I'm not.
in other places now, people are being denied other medications, not because they're pregnant, but because they are they potentially could theoretically, just like anyone with
what the hell's going on with my car
who hasn't gone through menopause could theoretically get pregnant. So they're being denied care because they're like, oh, but it could potentially have complications in the event that you did get pregnant. And these are people sometimes that those are medications that are life-saving and that they have had a prescription for years, in some cases over a decade, that they are now being denied. And it's ridiculous.
This election is really like a referendum in a lot of ways on whether or not you think women deserve to have health care and whether or not you think trans people have the right to exist in public, and
like, how is that not sex-based fucking discrimination? Like, that's my question.
Right.
Like, it's like the assumption that because you're female, you could be pregnant at any time. Therefore, because you're female and could get pregnant, you can't have this medicine that any man could have.
Yeah.
You know what? That's an interesting thing to take to like not UCLA. What?
ACLU.
ACLU.
Yeah.
ACLU. Because that's actually a really interesting that's a really interesting like judicial question that you may actually win like even like some conservative judges on, because even we still have to remember even this Supreme Court didn't vote for Trump's sort of like what his like push to redefine what like sex is and everything. That would be discriminating and they ruled that it would be discrimination based on sex. So based on that, they may actually take up that argument, which is actually really interesting. I didn't think about that before.
I mean, when you really think about it too, a lot of trans rights hinge on a discrimination, or like hinge on like protections similarly, because if you're discriminating against someone for being trans, it's literally because you're like, well, your sex doesn't match your gender presentation. So
We have read
I'm
some
discriminating
infuriating
against you.
laws. Like we go like on my stream, we sometimes go through and
Yeah.
actually read individually all the points, and like they'll say like it's not sex discrimination because it's like not medically appropriate for young girls to be given a testosterone. It's unnatural and we don't know the consequences. So it's not sex discrimination because it's for totally different conditions. And I was like, okay, you assholes.
It's like
make
church
any
hands.
sense.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah.
Were you gonna say something, Maddie?
No, I was going to point out also that like a lot of it goes in line because similarly to the argument of like being denied treatments because you have the potential to potentially get pregnant. That also goes in line with especially with trans youth being denied gender affirming care and treatments when there are cis children who receive those exact same treatments for like different medical reasons because they have those applications and those people still don't seem to find a problem with it. It's only when it's for gender affirming care or any sort of transition or just preventing them from going through puberty so they can figure out what their gender identity is without having to then do it after they've gone through puberty.
Well,
Apparently-
Maddie, have you considered that mental distress is not the same as physical distress, and therefore
What?
that's the argument that like transphobes present, like it because it's the pain and suffering is mental, therefore trans kids should be denied treatment until they're adults.
Yeah, they're like, it's just your brain.
Yeah, you should just be tortured for like the next 10 years until you figure it all out, sweaty.
And then they accuse you of being manipulative when you bring up the suicide statistics.
Yeah.
Right. Or, oh my God. Yeah. Or they're just like, I had to suffer and now I'm a perfectly normal, well-adjusted alcoholic with hypertension. Like, okay. Got like,
Yeah.
They're never okay. They're never actually okay.
No. Okay, so we are going to transition. Haha, that was sort of a play on words. To talking about what we can do to attract media attention beyond what like we ourselves can do as individuals, right? So one of those, we were gonna have like say goodbye to some people, but there are a few people who couldn't show up today for various reasons. Oh, my bad. One thing. Folks, please use !map in order to volunteer. You can fill out a short form and indicate what types of volunteering you're interested in doing, whether it is text banking, phone banking, in-person canvassing.
Yeah, a religion
also,
isn't a choice,
once you
true.
get plugged into the Progressive Victory Discord server, you can also pitch ideas outside of those three things that you are interested in doing, whether it is like graphic design that you're interested in, contributing to different campaigns or volunteer efforts, or you're interested in writing an ad copy or something like that for different campaigns, or tailoring certain messaging to smaller subsets of a politician's audience. These are all things that you can do, and you just need to type !map in chat to head over to transilculture.com in order to fill out that form. If you've already filled out that form but you haven't joined Progressive Victory, you can use !victory in chat to head over to the Progressive Victory 2022 Discord. And once you're there, you will have access to all kinds of experts in political organizing who will be able to teach you kind of how do you text bank, how do you phone bank, how do you canvass, how do you do all these things, what do you do to get involved and actually like change and better your communities. So these are all things, especially if you've been disaffected, especially if you've been feeling hopeless and doomer pilled. These are things that can get you back on that sweet, sweet hopium, okay? On top of that, I would encourage everyone else to check out the other commands that we have added, which are !health, which will take you to protecttranshealth.org. And that is essentially where people can give public comment on the Biden administration's proposed change to the Affordable Care Act that would prevent discrimination against LGBTQ plus people in healthcare settings. So it's really actually really important that you go there and give public comment in support of that. That actually is something you can do right now to protect trans rights. And I would also recommend you type !survey into chat and take the U.S. Trans Survey because we need better information to better cater to trans people across the U.S. So do that right now. Go. And with that, we're moving to our next segment, which is let's workshop a little bit. What are some ideas that we have on how we can kind of take some action that would get our message out there a little bit better, beyond just doing these streams? A couple of the suggested ideas that just off the top of our heads the other day were calling offices of legislators who have introduced anti-trans bills.
Public comment did
and doing
close.
that on stream to kind of walk our audiences through how to do that, and show how easy it can be, and then kind of coordinating a calling campaign against bigoted legislators. Another idea that we had was mass creation of pro-trans parody accounts of conservative figures and politicians, which I think could be a whole lot of fun. You know, pro-trans Dave Rubin, the highest level of idea. But yeah, I just want to open that floor up. We can refine some of the one of those ideas, or just spitball some other ideas. We want to have like one or two that we can act on as we get closer to midterm.
I love the parody account idea. It's just, I love things like that. I also love when people find that certain domains haven't been bought or secured and then they repurpose them. But though that often you kind of have to have a bit of foresight with that one. And, you know, web development's not super easy. But, you know, looking forward to other races, that could be an option. I have a friend who is big on the student debt forgiveness activism front. And a lot of times what she'll do is they'll make these gigantic signs and they'll stage with a group of like 5 or 6 people. They'll go in front of the White House and like hold the signs. She's also often, she'll call a photographer and say, hey, can you take really good, like high quality shots of this? And then they blast it out everywhere. And now the photos that she's had taken of them doing that, with them holding like gigantic signs that say cancel student debt, it's now those photos are used in articles as like a stock photo for that fight. So even something like that, you just have to think, okay, not only what can I do now, but then how do I amplify it? So on the ground work is great. Calling campaigns are great. Also, like, organize your family and friends, get them involved, make it fun. Like, I've had phone bank parties at my house where I just like order a bunch of pizza and we like do phone banking for a few hours and have a good time.
Did Pokemon go to the polls?
Pokemon go to the polls. Okay, Hillary.
Also, I know that was really cringe, but do you guys remember how popular Pokemon Go was? That was a magical time.
For sure. What a summer.
Yeah.
It truly was a magical
It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was something.
So yeah, like I love the idea of like putting together like call it like phone banking parties. That's a really good idea. Maybe we could all have like a phone banking party on stream. That could be kind of fun. I'm not sure how
fun.
how we could organize that from a technical standpoint. But
you would have to have it where, yeah, you'd have to have it where the audio from the phone calls are like not being broadcast. But...
Yeah, we can only broadcast our side. We can't broadcast theirs.
Yeah.
But or you could just have background music and people can watch as we're doing it. It's like, hey, you want to join? Here's the link to training or whatever. So, yeah,
that could be neat. Yeah, like weird calling ASMR stream.
Hmm. Or
Um,
if someone's good at like doing a Ben Shapiro impersonation or like any of those like talking heads, make like funny deep fake videos of them supporting trans rights.
Funny you should mention
And
that. There is a new AI coming out that is using GPT-3 to produce podcasts between hypothetical people. So, like the one that they just released was Steve Jobs and Joe Rogan, and it sounds like it is Steve Jobs
God,
talking to Joe Rogan.
that
Like
sounds
the
awesome.
deep
Weird.
fakes are ridiculous.
Yeah. So like I don't know, you can make funny because anytime you can create a really good piece of content and then amplify it,
Yeah.
that is going to be really good. In the last few weeks leading up to the elections, though, I mean, nothing beats on the ground, like boots on the ground, actually mobilizing voters. But it's also good to team up like with other organizations that have infrastructure in those different markets to whether it's joining one of their phone banks or if they're doing like a get out the vote virtual event, like promoting that. Remember when we had all those like fun virtual events during 2020, like all the cool reunions that were promoting like fundraising and stuff for all those races, and they were super great. And then I haven't really seen a lot of them anymore, and I miss them because
Oh, you mean the AOC Among Us stream?
it was
Ugh.
great.
yeah.
It it was like a really fun time. I know. I mean, with some of the candidates I work with, I know there have been a few. They're like, yeah, I'd be willing to um, play some video games with like a prominent streamer and answer questions and have that be like an outreach mechanism. Obviously, like the age of some of the candidates is maybe higher than what the streamers are used to in terms of like having a guest on. But like, I don't know, we can get creative about like, okay, how can I make this fun and interactive?
Yeah, one of the ideas that Aaron Green had, and I believe Aaron will be joining us at some point during this stream, is essentially turning it into kind of like an old school telethon, like a PBS like telethon, where we like cycle out like who's doing like all the other people on screen can be doing the phone banking, but then the unmuted person can kind of be emceeing it and being like, here's why this is important. Here's how you can get involved. Like, and if you donate at a $35 tote bag, like something like that. I do like that idea. I think that could be fun, especially as like a marathon style stream. I don't know how long people would be down to do that, but I think it could be really fun, especially as like combining all of our audiences together. Because I mean, in total, like in our organizing Discord for these events, we have like a solid like 20-ish people, maybe 30 people, um, and plus like the people who've expressed interest but haven't been able to show up. So like, I don't know, combining all of that for like a kind of a telethon style stream would be I think pretty neat.
I think that'd be
Yeah,
super
and
fun.
also oh
Uh, uh,
oh, I thought someone was talking. I didn't want to cut somebody off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and getting involved with your like local organizations, whether those be like big or small, whether those be like DSA or something else, could be like could be like a tenants union, could be an advocacy
cool.
group for like unhoused people. As well could be pretty good. I can't give like
We have Food
direct
Not Bombs
information.
here in Pittsburgh, which is another great organization for helping the houseless. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously like policy is what made these issues, and so policy is partly how we fix them. And so getting talking to those people and getting them out to help get on the ground, help do some phone banking as well, get involved in that community. So you don't so it can also be a good way for you to learn how to be like a part-time leader as well, not just like show up and be like given something and then just like walk around until like you're told to do something else. It can build some of those skills for how to actually like I'm not saying like you're not contributing, but I'm saying like learn how to like pitch some ideas as well for things that people weren't thinking of, because like you're a unique human being with your own unique ideas, and
Yeah.
everybody pitching in is how we become better. Just one person making all of the decisions makes it like a single weak link that could like break the entire chain. But if we're all strong and we're all like pitching together and we're all like putting through ideas, it's a lot harder for them to break us. And so I feel like
True.
that'd be great for people to do as well.
Monkey together strong.
So true.
Yes. One thing I did during 2020 as well, it might be a little late to do it now, but like any not really a parody account, but it's more like you'll see some like where it's like dogs for so and so, like dogs for Fetterman or cats for whatever. I was an Elizabeth Warren supporter, and I had dogs for Warren, and I just started it on a whim and just posted all the photos I could that I saw from supporters and from events and other things where it was dogs at events, the supporting that candidate, they asking people who support that candidate, hey, send me a picture of like your dog next to a sign or a t-shirt or something, and it blew up. And so things like that, if you can incorporate cute and pets, especially with Fetterman, considering he's running against someone who literally murdered puppies, that I think also, I'm trying to think of what like works for the internet, and if there's something the internet loves, it's cute animals.
Yeah.
So
True.
there's
True.
an idea. Also, use TikTok. People don't use TikTok enough. But yeah.
True.
Something that can work for like the in-person side of things was something we were discussing at a state meeting the other day, was doing a perma blitz, which is a neat concept I learned about, where basically you get together with a bunch of friends and you go blitz an area and build a garden.
Ooh, garden building.
Yeah.
I really like that idea.
Yeah, it seems like it would be fun and would attract media attention, especially if you do it in like area where you shouldn't be doing it probably, but yeah.
Also, just as I would never advocate for anyone to do anything remotely illegal, but I've heard that, for example, if someone were to be walking down the street and accidentally drop seeds to like some endangered plants that are protected by law into various areas, that those can't be uprooted.
There are local wildflowers you can get from your local nursery that are protected species.
That might have been the senior prank I pulled in high school on our rivals' football field. May have had some California poppies.
Did you ever follow up and see if they grew?
I did, and they did. But then somehow they got removed, and I was like, fuck. Like,
Strange.
I'm turning you in.
They're more illegal than me. How they do it?
Those are the votes that were. Yeah, I bet that they're like. I bet they came across here on mules. Anyways.
All right. Any other ideas here? I'm loving kind of this flow of ideas we got going.
Don't forget the power of memes. Memes are very important. You should always be making memes. Not only is it actually hilarious, and it's always great when you drop a banger and a lot of people are like, wow, Banger King, I'm hungry, can I order something? I thought I was at Banger King. This is my favorite restaurant. You know, people love it. It's incredibly fun. You can get like your friends to do it as well, and like custom memes for specific situations that you get into, or like common situations that people will know a little bit about, or can always go pretty far. I mean, like in one like big scenario, if somebody is like if somebody's a little skeptical, I mean, look at like Jordan Peterson. Okay, there are so many people who had like a pretty good opinion of Jordan Peterson all the way up until the up yours, welcome Morris. We'll see who cancels who. Like he's crying about getting banned on Twitter, and then literally everyone clowned on him. Everybody started making memes about it, and then he became less and less serious. Not to say that he's not like big still, but that definitely did a dent, and it definitely did change some people's minds on it. No matter, it doesn't matter if the meme is like top keck absolute heater, or if it's like a Facebook suburban mom minions meme, you know. Anything can really help, and the more you do it, the more and the better you get at it, and it's all incredibly fun. Especially dunking on people who are bad people who deserve it. That's really fun, and making a couple of jokes along the way will never get old.
Yeah,
We'll
like
see who transels who.
There you go.
Like I 100% agree with that. I think memes are like an underappreciated art form and motivator in politics. Like the whole the Donald subreddit thing before that got wiped off the face of the earth. I swear that was like an engine of like evil creation of memes to propel Donald Trump into the presidency. You know, like it's hard. Like I don't know how to quantify, but it feels like it was pretty influential. And I also feel like a lot of people like started to come around a bit on Biden with the rise of like the Dark Brandon memes. I know that they're not like they aren't even like top tier memes, but it's just funny to imagine like Biden in that context. It's just like an inherently funny idea.
I think they are top tier memes. Like,
oh damn!
I mean, especially the ones where anything happens and it's like the picture of Biden like working out in the White House and he's on the phone and it's of the Pope and he's like, "Yes, Your Holiness, the trust has been taken care of. No, Your Holiness, they still think I'm senile." And it's those are great. Those are amazing. You know, Dark Brandon acolytes have certified this banger. Like those are all, and people love them. People genuinely.
Also,
it made the news. What's that again?
And Dank Brandon.
Dank Brandon.
Yeah.
All of those.
There was
all of those are pretty good, and you can like even talk about things that actually happened, things that he actually did, in like a funny, jokey way, and it still gets the point across. It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's effective. I've seen too many of them at this point to be like true kecking at them, but a lot of them were very good. What about what are some ideas that we could do like in person? One of the phrases that was kind of being thrown out during the meeting we had with kind of our media coordinator, I guess, was like some gonzo style coverage, like some kind of like on the ground, like grabbing attention, you know, kind of like creating the narrative that we want to put into the media that's going to grab attention.
Like someone in my chat recommended earlier, like Trans Day of Remembrance protests, like ideally in front of offices that run on transphobia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that could be really good.
Yeah, anything that creates a visual. Yeah, anything that creates like a visual guide. I mean, one thing I've seen, at least here in San Francisco, is that it's really big. Dia de los Muertos is really big.
Mm-hmm.
Day of the Dead. It's big in Mexican culture, and they host in a park in the Mission District. You can set up altars to honor the dead, and they usually each one is themed. And so I've done one before, and in this case it wasn't just trans people, but we did it for mainly like a LGBTQ plus icons who have since passed, and we made this big altar, this big art installation for them. So thinking about ways, I don't know, maybe in honor of like Dia de los Muertos, install like an altar to, you know, honor those who have fallen victim to transphobic violence, and you know, do it in a really public place. Also get to know your local reporters, send them an email and say, hey, a bunch of us are going to be doing this. If you want to cover something that's happening in the local community. But yeah, anytime you can do a visual or artistic representation of something and do it in a heavily trafficked place, and even if you don't think any media will show up, reach out to them, especially if there's going to be you and a few friends or someone else doing it together, because they love that kind of content. Reach out, be proactive to get any sort of focus you can.
Yeah, especially if you live in a real sleepy town, like they ain't got nothing to cover. Like nobody wants to talk about how like the random kid mowed lawns for at a competitive price again. So yeah, that's something that you can really do. Typically they have like a public email or Twitter account where you can tell them what's going on, and just like a proof of concept that it worked. Like here in Kentucky, like even for people who aren't in Kentucky, everybody has probably seen a picture of the Breonna Taylor like memorial at Freedom at Justice Square in Louisville. That big the big circle with all of like the protester signs and the murals and the pictures and people standing around. Like people really it touches people in a different way when it's different from just like names on the screen or something, and it's something that you like walk by or you see in while you're reading like the local news or something that you just hear of through the grapevine at work or something.
Yeah.
And like getting like coworkers involved as well. Like you spend a lot of time at work, might as well like talk to them a little bit. I know here in the debate space, we me and my frogs, we talk about ways to like commonly combat like typical like right-wing talking points that you may just like casually overhear by like coworkers, and just hit them with a, you know, hit him right in the little forehead. Just like, there you go. Like you don't get to just say that. You don't just get to say that around me. Here's some pushback, all right?
Yeah.
And even though it may not seem like that much, getting even like the little pushback and getting somebody to like think about it, especially if they haven't heard it before, because remember, a lot of these right-wingers can live in echo chambers, whether they mean to or not. It can make them think, and that can have like a ripple effect on like who they talk to, what they do. And once again, going to your local city council, school board meetings, as well as a great thing. You should be doing it, and do it with many people. Pokemon Go to your school board meeting.
Yes.
So here's a thought. What if we combined a couple of these ideas into like something that we coordinated in different states wherever we are, right? So what if we combined like Trans Day of Remembrance protest with like that art idea you were talking about, Maddie? And also combined it kind of with guerrilla community building. Like we show up, coordinate some activities, and like take like little poster boards and like put it in the grass of like, here are people who have died because of your transphobic policies, or and like showed up at those offices to like do that as like kind of an act of protest. And like kind of doing it like at night so that it just kind of like shows up in the when the sun comes up. Yeah, be a little sneaky about it. Be a little some little sneaky guys.
I feel like I want it to be shocking, you know? Like I want it to be like at the level of like handcuffing yourself to the building level of shocking, or like splashing a bunch of red paint all over somewhere shocking.
Yeah.
You have to be very careful in some states, especially after 2020. They passed a bunch of laws that basically made it illegal to protest, and they can give you like a it's less than you stay in jail at night. It's more of like an actual, you may have to like talk to your like human rights
lawyer
organization for like the things that they're going to try and do to you. So you have to be careful with that. On the garden idea, there are especially like elderly people and people who own property around your city, probably, that they're not doing much with, and you could like ask them to be like, hey, you build a garden. And a lot of the times they'll be like, you know what, that seems like a kind of cool idea, you know, and stuff like that, especially if you don't have your own land.
You could also kind of
millennials and Gen Z here, we don't own property,
right? And like actually something I was thinking of, not even just the, you know, blitzing and doing a garden, blitzing and doing community service. You know, target like where you know there's lower income, housing or something, or target the local houseless camp and bring them resources and supplies.
Impromptu block party. You can show up, you can let them know, you put some letters in their mailboxes, and you can be like, or if they're actually like unhoused, if they're homeless, you can talk to them sometime, be like, hey, you guys want some food? And you can like show up and you can like make some hot dogs or something. You can make some food and give them some pizza.
And you
give
also
out some like water and everything.
You also have to check and make sure with your local laws that giving food in an organized manner to homeless people isn't illegal, because that can
Insanity.
actually be illegal
True.
depending on where you are, which is
Genuine
fucking
insanity.
insane. But you gotta check your bases on that one too.
It's like, I'm just gonna leave the peanut butter jelly sandwich in the Ziploc. I'm just gonna put it on the sidewalk and walk away. And
if
then
we
come
all
what
do
may.
it in 3.7-minute intervals, then they can't say it's organized.
Yeah.
Or just like look disheveled, and then you're like, you're gonna accuse me of being organized? Yeah, I
come
don't think so.
Yeah, don't take your ADHD medicine the night before, and then you physically cannot be organized. It'll be great.
Yeah, just be a little spaced out. Yeah.
These are all.
But I
great
love that.
ideas.
Also, look, if you're like, oh well, it's just me. How can I do something in my area? I don't really know anyone that can go with me. Get in touch with there's always, whether I think Shark mentioned this earlier, but DSA is a great, they are pretty much have boots on the ground in every market in some capacity. That's a great place to start. They're also just like meetup groups and support groups for different things that can be great if you're like, hey, I'm thinking of doing some sort of demonstration, or I want to do something about this issue. You'd be surprised at just how many people will be like, hey, yeah, well, I'll reach out to our membership and see if there are people that want to participate or help. I mean, I even through organizing met this group of they're little ladies who meet up every week to knit, and they also are like socialists. So it's like little old socialist ladies who
Aw.
knit, and like yeah. And so in a few times I reach out and go, hey, could you reach out to like everyone in your network and see if they would want to participate in like this event, or, we're having a rally for such and such candidate and wanted to spread the word. So even like little groups like that that you may not immediately think would like participate, it never hurts to ask. Just ask. Cast a wide net.
Great ideas.
Yeah.
Very
Are
good
you listening,
ideas.
chat?
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. What do you think we could do maybe online that we could bring in as many people as possible on? Like what would be some fun ideas to cause some good trouble,
Online? I don't know. Do I have anybody here who's like near Tennessee? Because I'm in Kentucky, and I'm not sure if I'm not sure if you've heard what Matt Walsh is planning to do. He's planning to have like a transphobic rally at the Tennessee legislature to push them to ban trans people from breathing. I'm being a little hyperbolic, but he wants to like ban...
not too hyperbolic.
Not that hyperbolic, if I'm going to be honest, but they want to like ban trans healthcare, and so that's like his big thing.
Lovely.
And like he has I know for a fact, I got like I can look back sometime and I can see that there are some actual politicians, state politicians, who are planning to go there, and they want to like put through a bill. So maybe like pretending that, so if you're online and you're not around, pretending that you went, and you're like, oh my gosh, I talked to Matt Walsh while I was there, and I thought he was great until somebody told me about his thoughts on 16-year-olds and pregnancy. And I was like, and that's when I was like, I'm not sure if I can support this man.
Yeah.
So like taking up the psyop thing as well as something topical. If you all know about that, because it's not
Oh
good. It's not good
yeah.
either.
True. I would
Mm-mm.
just encourage people, if you are gonna do that, make sure that you are safe while doing
Yes.
it. Make sure you have a couple people to be able to pull you out if something
Maybe
goes bad.
I
maybe go
mean
with
like
your local
online, not if you're
SRA.
actually going. If you're
Oh,
actually
gotcha.
going, go with like a buddy. All
Yeah.
right. Don't go alone. Those
Mhm.
people are dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're animals. Not really. I don't believe they're actually animals. That's disrespectful to animals.
Yeah. Animals would never be transphobic.
That's true.
They never would.
No.
Mm-mm. Imagining
So
my dog being phobic of any kind is just giving her a little too much credit.
aw.
It's some racist dogs out there.
There are some racist dogs. That's true. My dog is equal
I had to
opportunity.
break one of it.
If you got treats, you're in.
Yeah. Let's see. What else we got? We got counter protest, anti-trans rallies, or online, impromptu block party feeding, guerrilla art protest, telethon phone banking stream.
Also, washing homeless people's dogs if you can, like giving them baths. Like going out there, and if you can get like some water or something, or if you can get into a little good trouble, open up like a fire hydrant, and get some buckets and help like wash some homeless people or poor people's dogs to make sure that they can stay safe and everything. Give like donating like pet supplies, dog food, stuff like that, brushes, if they need it, because their little buddies need help too.
Or like
Exactly.
the anti-flea tick heartworm medication that can often be really it's like prescription, and it can be really expensive and prohibitive even for people who are housed but like don't have
It's
disposable
like
income
$40-something
to spend on
a dose.
it.
It's kind of
Yeah.
expensive.
So yeah, but like it would be just if you can afford it, or if you have access to that would be super helpful. I love that idea.
Yeah, there are
Aw.
some other ideas too. Like if you just want to like build community where you are, like that I think where it's really like look at what your set of skills are, and kind of figure out how you might be able to use those just to help other people in your like. There are people who can cut hair. Giving like offering homeless people like a free haircut, like can be actually really helpful.
Actually,
if you have like the ability to do that, or like again one of the
Please, only if you actually have the ability.
yes, oh please don't just go out there and like cut their hair for practice.
Like don't give them a whack hairline. Like
Yeah, they're
don't,
already
like, say,
they're
like-
already unhoused. Okay, they don't need more problems on top of
Yeah.
that. All right. If I was
this went
homeless,
so bad.
I already got enough problems. I'll need a bad haircut too.
But like also similar to kind of like the like throwing like an impromptu block party and like feeding folks, like one of my favorite things out of like the BLM protests was reading about kind of the rise of riot ribs. Do you guys remember that?
I haven't seen that.
Oh, it was essentially like volunteers who would go out and like just make ribs for protesters, and like make really delicious food and just like give it out for free to protesters. And like that's a great use of your skills. Like can you cook up some good stuff? Do you have the means to like give that out? Like that'd be tight as hell.
If
Feed
you're
your protesters.
like Jose Andres going to all
if
the
you're a tradesman,
disaster areas.
Yeah.
if
Guy
you're
Fieri.
Yeah. That's right.
Go ahead.
That's right.
if you're a
Yeah, sorry.
tradesperson and maybe you live in an area lucky enough, as I just found out, we have a tool library here, in which they even have like sewer machines. Like, so that would be like I could literally grab a friend and go do someone's, plumbing, because they have all the tools that I would need, and I did plumbing for 10 years. I don't have to own any of them, which is pretty handy. Then you're using a community resource to help other community members.
Yeah,
Pretty sick.
that is pretty sick.
That's awesome.
Um,
awesome.
another thing, and this is just like a little thing, but like if you're in like a community and you don't have like extensive skills that you can think of like a way to use, one of the really great things you can do is set up like those little free libraries that are kind of like popular right now. And I know that that might not seem like a lot, but then you can put like some subversive literature in there. You know, like throw in some of those Marlon Bundo books about gay bunnies,
Yeah.
or like
Or if you can, since a lot of like conservative states have been doing a bunch of like book banning and book burning, you can set up like the banned book
a
like
little
truck
banned
or
book
something, or
library.
like banned book like library, where you're like, this is what they don't want you to see, you know.
Yeah.
That type of stuff. Literature is so dangerous that they had to ban it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Essentially, do your own version of like that teacher in Kansas who gave out like the QR code for. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like the library QR code for a bunch of books that have been banned.
Oh,
Yeah, I
Do
saw that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
think
like-
I vaguely remember.
Legislators in Kansas are like trying to like make it illegal so that they can prosecute what that teacher did, which is insane.
Trying to retroactively like make a law
Yeah.
now. So I don't think you can do that, but I have been wrong before.
I mean,
You would
normally
think not.
when like in like the before times you couldn't, but who knows?
Did we all just grow up with a fake idealized version of America, and it's actually always been like psychotically fascist and terrible? And they were just getting away with it because we didn't have the internet.
Uh,
'Cause
by
people weren't
the
like
way,
filming it on their phone. Yeah.
But by the way, just for all of you to share with your chats in the in the show Discord channel, I posted a link to Literary Hub, and Literary Hub has the QR code that allows you access to the Books Unbanned portion of the Brooklyn Public Library. So you can all share that with your chats as well. And you know, speaking of maybe some good trouble, wouldn't be too terrible if someone turned that into a sticker to throw up basically anywhere. Just throwing that out there.
What did you send
Yeah.
us?
In the Transl Culture Discord, in the show stream chat. It's right above voice channels.
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ooh, also speaking of like writing and books, write an editorial or write a letter to the editor or your local newspaper. You'd be shocked at how easy it is to get certain things published.
Oh, God.
But yeah, so like if you've ever read through your local newspaper and you see the kinds of like letters to the editor or other things that they deem worthy of publishing, can't hurt.
Uh,
Right
It's
now,
fine.
bed.
I mean, have you guys, like, folks, if you've ever seen how hungry local newspapers are for content,
Mhm.
yeah, like you have a decent shot. Like, sure, the bigot down the street who's 80 years old and has infinite free time, essentially has like a daily column in that paper, but they want to publish someone new. I guarantee you. I guarantee you.
Absolutely.
And go for the local paper. Don't like the bigger ones. It's trickier to get in, but like also the local ones, you're going to be reaching people in your area, in your community, so it's a little easier.
I'm going to take this moment,
Oh, yeah.
my dear friends, to dip out. I got to get some stuff figured out with my car. It's been so wonderful hanging out with you all, though.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah.
No problem. Take care.
Yeah,
Good to meet
and
was fun.
before you go, give yourself a little shout out. Where
Final
can people find
plugs.
you? What do you do?
Yeah, I'm Luxander. I'm on YouTube, not on Twitch, streaming about politics and generally trans-related news and, funneling things through a very specific lens, just like every other news does, except I'm transparent about that fact. So come hang out with us on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and coming soon again with the Sunday streams after I'm done with my seasonal part-time job this weekend at Ye Old Renaissance Fair. So yeah, thank you all again for hanging out with me, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much. See ya.
Bye.
Okay. God damn it. Okay, there it is. Sorry. Okay, so yes, I have to figure out some shit with my car. And I rearranged my office so my setup is all weird and different. Anyway, yes, I'm gonna go pick up my vehicle from the place and then try to chill for tonight. I guess I'm gonna do my best anyway. So yes, thank you all for hanging out. We will do another one of those in the future. I think there's supposed to be more people. It's just hard to get everybody all at once. So yeah, we might even we might even get some really big creators at some point. Who knows? We will see. We will find out. Okay. I appreciate y'all, and I will see you on Tuesday.